Good morning, good afternoon, good night from wherever you watch these brain snacks. We are talking now about stress and health. Brain snack number 2. There is a lot of things to share and to learn how to manage your stress. What's a type A? What can we do about the mess around us? As we have mentioned earlier, the stress hormones also affect your brain. The brain is an organ and it's affected by catecholamines, by stress hormone, and it does something with that. So what does it do? Stress hormones, of course, increase the performance. The more energy you put into the system, so the more efficient, the faster, and the more work effective it may come. But if you think that goes on all the time like that, and you're a young manager and say, so I put more stress on my team, more goals, then the performance will increase. This is not true. What happens inevitably is that at a certain point of time, performance goes down again. And you get the fruits of that. And these fruits are bitter because nothing works anymore then when there is too much stress in the organization. When you look to the optimum, quite clear, you have some feeling about it. And when you look to the performance, you never know, or you should know, whether you look to the left part of the curve or to the right part of the curve. How do you make it sure which picture you see when you measure the performance of something, what your brain output should do? So we have some indicators. The brain is most sensitive for stress. First indicator is we forget things. Second indicator is we do mistakes, but then we realize, oh, I have done a mistake and I can correct it by myself. Mistake number 2, degree number 2 is when I make a mistake, I do not realize it anymore, but others see, oh, you have done a mistake here. Couldn't you correct it? And I say, yes, of course, sorry. I will correct it immediately. Mistake number 3. Degree number 3 will occur when others come to the whole concept you've done here is somehow is wrong, cannot be wrong. And you say, no, this is a new concept. You try to save everything. You don't want to correct anything anymore. So you are under more stress than as if you would say, yes, maybe true. Listen, we can correct it. Next stage is disorientation. Disorientation regularly happens in a work context if the top management changes the goal much faster than the goals need the time to travel down the organization to the execution floor. Then the execution floor says, okay, obviously they change everything every night, so better we wait until this is over, and they will do nothing. Then psychosomatic symptoms appear. People get a little bit sick by all that, and the stress increases. And everybody then, when it's stressed, then people go for sick leaves, and then you have an indicator that the stress around you is really, really bad. And then also diseases may come up. Hopefully not you in person. So the normal life is in between optimum and disease. We all know that. We always try to get the optimum, the wellness feeling, the creativity, the efficiency, where we can be successful, make a career. You see here written type A behavior. So people under constant stress develop a certain kind of behavior set. And this is what we call type A behavior. And the question also is very interesting. What makes it happen that this type A can develop, and how can we get out of this trap? Well, we have found now the health and stress connection. Of course, when we look to the left side of the curve, then it's quite clear that it needs completely different measures and completely different instruments to come from there up to the optimum. The good question is, what is on the other side? If I have diagnosed to be on the other side, on the right side of the curve where everything is going down, I need completely different methodologies. I need rehabilitation, I need stress management, I need salutogenesis. This is the art of how to create more health in my life. And of course, the higher I can come, I say it's fairly good, but now I need prevention in order to avoid that we slip down again. So, in summary, there are a lot of methodologies and instruments for each level of the left and the right part of the curve. The type A should learn how to do that so that he can liberate himself out of the trap, being always between not really healthy but also not really sick. So, this is the guy. This is how a type A looks typically, schematically designed, and this work was done by a study group around Professor Thorson and Stanford University, California, a long time ago. What can we say about this type A? We recognize his character traits on many incidences. The speed of the speech, the speaking behavior, his nervousness, his motoric overdrive, his energetic charisma, also something which we think is very positive, but behind there is a lot of stress maybe, from which he suffers. So his breathing style, short breathing style. It's not that he can take a long breath and speak long sentences. He needs to make short sentences and interrupt himself while he's speaking, and then he loses the grammar all the time. And he interrupts also other people all the time when they are speaking. So this is the type A behavior. You have a picture how that could look like, I think. And then when we look to the face itself, it comes to us that he has a few wrinkles because the constant stress innervation of the musculature in the type A's face is leading to a certain impression. So first you see the large pupils, the white of the pupil sometimes. This is a constant stress sign. Let you make the diagnosis. Also you have melatonin and deposits on the lower eyelid. This is a brown colorization. You see nasolabial disrespect. That's here. I don't like you. So this is some sign of aggressiveness, constant aggressiveness. There's stresses behind. The lip disrespect. What does it tell you? It does tell you that the guy thinks, oh my God, I'm surrounded whole day by a bunch of idiots. This is the associated thinking with the type A under constant stress. And then you see other signs in the chin, the determination, and the will to kill. A type A behavior is a career which does not come overnight. You need hard work. You need constant stress to come into a situation where you feel always insecurity and lack of confidence. This is one of the consequences. And what develops then is some kind of sense of time urgency. So the sense of time urgency is telling me I'm constantly under pressure. I need to do this, I need to do that, and I need to do it fast, and then another 10 tasks are working for me. You develop some kind of hyper-aggressiveness and free-floating hostility. This is the way of thinking. I'm surrounded by a bunch of idiots all day. On the long term, it leads to a deformation of character. People say, well, he seems to be under stress, or his emotions have been changed. Emotional exhaustion is the consequence, and an early indicator is that the feeling of love is going away from you. You're losing that. You have not access anymore to that kind of feeling. And the physiology is out of steady state. Several disorders may appear. A lot of infections here and there, sleeplessness, tiredness, and many other smaller things. And then, on the long term, there is developing a tendency of self-destruction and victim thinking, because the type A realizes that is obviously his life. He's not satisfied with that, but he thinks he cannot do anything against it. Somebody must do it at his role, and so he slips into a role of being a victim for the others and tries to manage his life with that way of thinking for years. But then that goes on for years. For example, some diseases may develop severe diseases. A clinically present coronary artery heart disease leads to a myocardial heart infarction. And I do not need to mention other diseases. A lot of things can happen then. Type A behavior people normally do a lot of things to keep up their stress level, not to reduce it. One habit is coffee drinking. And the good question here is, how much coffee do we need to set ourselves under enough stress? Because research found that 1 or 2 cups of coffee increase the serum level of catecholamines in your blood by 70 to 200%. You can easily predict that after the 3rd cup of coffee, the manager is not at work anymore. He is on flight. And that you can see in the results of his work. When it comes to diseases, always the human immune system is involved. So the brain and the immune system, they have many connections together, which lead us to health or bring us away to health. One of an important thing when we look at the immune system is that it has a biorhythm. It has a diurnal change, a daily change in its activity. In the morning, we say something, it's an operative phase. So this is where we do things as usual, and the immune system does not disturb so much the activity of the left brain half. Also, the day just has started, so the immune system has cleaned up the body overnight and now has a little bit a break. But that changes when we go for the lunch. The lunch is a situation where this guy starts to eat, and the immune system needs to check, hell, what is he eating now? Is it something which is good for me, or I need to be against it? So the immune system gets on alert and is active. That makes us tired. Another phase in the afternoon is, okay, there is not such high peak of activity, doing things under stress like we always do. Normally it's not like that. And then in the evening, the catecholamines go down. You see the green circles. These are the areas and fields where melatonin is in the body. High concentration of melatonin is a hormone which can be regarded as an antagonist of stress hormones. And melatonin is in the gut in high concentrations, also in other cells, but in the gut in high concentrations. So at lunchtime, it's given away to the bloodstream and the immune system starts to work, and melatonin has some attitude, it makes us tired. This is then used during the night when we lie down and the light goes away. This is one of the other triggers of the melatonin to be released. When it gets darker, the melatonin is put to the bloodstream and makes us tired, and the immune system can start to work perfectly overnight if we have a good sleep. As we want you to become your doctor yourself, and that you can learn how to heal yourself and improve your health condition, we have put together this nice game for you. When you click on it, you see your daily curve and activity curve of the stress preparedness and the immune and sleep preparedness. When you click on the different time, on the different buttons and the different lines, you can see what you should do today. You can see how it looks like if you are under heavy stress, what kind of behavior is then on your agenda, and you can see also how it was 50,000 years ago, because the stress response developed at that point of time, and at that point of time it made a lot of sense to react in this way and to have such a biorhythm in your daily life. Today and the technical and the industrial civilizations we are thrown into in a short time frame, all this kind of behavior which we have developed and which is in our genetic heritage from 50,000 years ago, may not be so useful anymore, and we just need to learn how to manage it, how to deal with that, and then we are much better off when we can do that. If you want to make use of this manager, just then go to this website and play around, have fun with it. You learn a lot by trying. Arrived here, thank you very much for your attention, and then now have fun with your daily monitoring of your stress response and what happened to our colleagues 50,000 years ago.